Bitcoin holders, we have seen something over the last 24 hours that is ridiculously bullish, and I need to share it with you. So with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. Now, what we're going to be focusing in on is what Bitcoin's price has done, quite simply, over the last 24 hours. As many of you know, in yesterday's video, we were talking about the fact that Bitcoin's daily RSI had dipped below the oversold territory, or dipped into the oversold territory, making this one of the most, in my opinion, and based off historical data, interesting moments to be purchasing in the last couple years. Realistically, there had only been a handful of times that this has happened, and I told you all that the previous times in which this happened and we dipped below these levels, that it had turned out to be one of the best buying opportunities that there was at the time. And so of course, because of that, I told you around here that I was going to be doing some purchasing over on Bitcoin, and this has of course done damn good. What we can see here is not only has Bitcoin recovered since being outside of this wedge, but it is also up around 9 to 10%, meaning that the purchases that we did yesterday here were about 10% gainers, usually on 4 or 5x leverage. Dude, 40-50% gains, looking real nice right now. But I don't want to brag, right? I don't want to flex too much, because I'm sure you guys are rolling in the dough as well. And so what I want to do today is talk about what has now happened, where we are now, and what we can expect going forward, and why this is so bullish. Now, what I'm really going to focus in on today is the fact that Bitcoin's price gave us a fake out to the downside of a macro bullish structure. Okay, a macro bullish structure. Let's break down what I just said. We are in a macro bullish structure no matter how you want to look at it. When you are at the top of an uptrend and you have this structure, a descending wedge at the top of this macro structure, upswing, descending wedge, there is over an 85% chance that you are going to break out of it to the upside at some given point. That's just facts. You can go look up the data if you like, okay? Or you can just trust me. Now, what happens sometimes is in those 15% in which you don't break up to the upside, you'll get a breakout to the downside. Now, among that 15%, 50% of the time, so now we're talking 7.5% of the time in which we're in this, you will get what's called a fake out to the downside. And of that, there is over 90% chance, so all of this will make sense in a second, that if you fake out to the downside, that you will then return and break out to the upside at some given point. So what that means is that there's less than a 15% chance that this happens. If within that 15% chance that this happens, most of the time, you are going to break back to the upside. Okay, most of the time. That's the easiest way to remember it, most of the time. And so with that in mind, knowing now that Bitcoin has now reclaimed this, we re-cleared back in from this fake out, there is an incredibly high chance now that over the coming weeks, over the coming months, when Bitcoin decides it's ready, that we are going to get a break to the upside of this descending wedge in which we're in right now. Now, yes, there is the occasional time where Bitcoin loses this level, comes back down and loses it again, but that is incredibly rare. In fact, so rare that I have not even been able to find an example of that within the last few years, and I looked for about 20 minutes or so. Now, if you want to go digging and find one for me, please let me know, post it on Twitter and tag me so I can check it out, but it is incredibly uncommon for Bitcoin to fake out to the downside of a descending wedge on top of macro structure that swings to the upside and then continue back down outside of it. It's just quite simply not what usually happens. So as a result of that, what am I doing now? Well, it's honestly quite simple. As Bitcoin is now towards the bottom side of this wedge, honestly, even within, I like to keep it within the lower 25% of the wedge, but you can even realistically consider it within the lower 50% of the wedge. While it's in the bottom 50% of the wedge at this given point, I am going to be averaging in over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks or months. While we are below this 50% threshold, I will continue to dollar cost average for Bitcoin. But what I am going to be aware of is the fact that if for some reason we do see Bitcoin's price fall below this wedge, things are going to get ugly. So I'm not going to be putting all of my cash in. I'm not going to be dollar cost averaging at a 100% rate, but I am going to be doing substantial buying because us falling out of this is just not likely. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying I don't think it's going to happen. I'm saying probability based, it's not likely. And so because of that, I am confident starting to accumulate here. And even if Bitcoin starts to trickle down, maybe we even do this for a little while back towards $49,000, I'm quite confident that as we are still within the bottom side of this wedge, when the time does come that we want to break this wedge, these will all turn out to be be absolutely fantastic buying opportunities. Now, again, that's just my thesis. You shouldn't just follow what I'm doing. You need to create your own thesis. You need to take information from a bunch of people and use it to formulate your own opinion. This opinion and this thesis that I have, that we're going to try to find some support towards the bottom side and eventually break to the upside, is based off of my own research and based off of my own studies of the probabilities of what happens for Bitcoin specifically. So you need to make sure that you do your own. But this is what I'm doing, and I'm damn confident that this will turn out to continue to be a fantastic buying opportunity, even if Bitcoin's price does continue downwards towards 50,000 on a slow trickle before eventually making that move to the upside. Now, guys, I am personally doing all of my trading over on Margex. This is my second account, and I just wanted to show you some of the different aspects about it. You can see here, you can do limit trades, market trades, stop market trades. You can use leverage. There's so many different aspects and areas of Margex that come in handy, such as copy trading, wallets, and much more, all of which you can check out down in the description below. And the coolest part is, guys, if you do sign up with my link down below, you're going to get up to $10,000 in sign up rewards, which could come in that could come in handy during times like this, especially when the dollar cost averaging is going through the roof. And so make sure that you do go check that out below if that is something you're interested in. And as I mentioned before, guys, don't forget, I did just recently start a second YouTube channel called the Crypto Catch Up, where I do all of my daily videos talking about the broad market, what's happening from fundamental analysis perspective, and much more. So make sure you do go check that out if that is something that interests you. But overall, that's where I'm at with Bitcoin today, guys. Dollar cost averaging as a result of this fake out from this descending structure that is historically incredibly bullish. And so I can't wait to hear your opinions down in the comments below. Are you accumulating? Are you holding? Are you selling? What's your game plan? What's your strategy? I'd love to hear it down there, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.